Do 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 do. Hi, it's G from the Academy of Language Therapy and Life Coaching. Yeah, that's the way it goes. It's Monday and it's a bit chilly outside. Wanted to do the video from outside, but decided to stay inside instead today. This is a new series of videos on parenting advice and tips and tricks, little things that make big differences for parents. If you're a parent out there and you're looking for some extra support, then this is for you. This is a little bit of information that I've picked up from personal experience and information that I've picked up from reading around. There are a lot of people who know a lot more about this topic than me, and so Rob, how's it going, mate? I've got Rob's conversations with Rob on my desktop right now. How cool is that? 6 degrees of separation, right? 6 degrees of separation. We're all closer than we think that we are. So, Rob, if you're out there, I'm checking out your conversations with Rob online, and I'm wondering if it's going to be set up as a podcast, or it's just going to be a Facebook page, or is this stuff mirrored to YouTube? Let us know a bit more about conversations with Rob. Let us know a bit more about your project and what's happening with that, and maybe we'll be able to sit down and have our own little conversation at some point in time. So I like the graphics as well. He's got really cool graphics. If you're on Facebook, type in Conversations with Rob, go over to his page, check out his interviews, and pick up some information. The net is about sharing, because we're caring about ourselves, the world around about us, and the planet. So just before we get into today's topic, which is dealing with anger, which is one of those complex issues that it doesn't matter how much you are prepared to deal with issues as a parent. When your children get angry with you, which they do, it's never easy to deal with that. So we're going to get into that. Remember, if you're not linked up to what we do, it's the Academy of Language Therapy and Life Coaching on Facebook. Also visit us at nsa-slovakia.com. If the audio is going out okay, let me know. Please give me a thumbs up. Let me know if everything can be heard okay. Because sometimes there are issues. Facebook has absolutely no way of checking whether the audio is going out okay. In fact, in the last broadcast, the audio switched between my phone and my mic, and my phone and my mic, and there's no way to know. There's no way to know unless you get feedback from people. So, give me a hi, hello, thumbs up, let me know if things are okay. Just checking out my Facebook page. If you've been following what's been happening recently, there's a new post with Lonsdale. Lonsdale gets more attention than I do, which is kind of cool, because Lonsdale is the world's smartest bear. So you can follow his adventures on my Facebook page. I saw a great presentation last night by, I'm gonna get the name right, Rupert Sheldrake, I think it was, and he was talking about science, what science knows and what science doesn't know, and the knowledge and the illusions created in the world around about us. If you haven't checked out his work, check it out. It's fantastic. And one of the pieces of information he gave out in his presentation was that dark matter and dark energy makes up 95% of our universe. So there's more that we don't understand than what we do understand, and I think that's key to remember. Also, scrolling through what's happened in the last 24 hours on Facebook. I went back and I watched a little bit of the film Easter Parade, because it's Easter, and And I was thinking about how society has changed, how filmmaking has changed, how these films were so positive in the past about life, the universe, and everything. And now, what are they now? It just seems gun, drugs, violence, loneliness, apathy, narcissism. It's pretty freaky, really. Anyway, I posted a song from the film, and I just think it's nice. It's nice to take that step back into a different time and remember what's been going on. Also, you'll find on Facebook, I reposted one of my remix videos, The Classic Socialization Myth, which is a discussion with a parent that I had about how school does not provide a social education for your children. And I think it's a nice discussion, and I think I make some relevant points, and I think that's something that all parents and also teachers should understand. So, once again, it's a G from the Academy, and we're about to look at anger and issues related to anger, and how as parents we deal with these issues. So, first let's think about what are your experiences. What are your experiences with anger? What are your experiences dealing with it? How did your parents teach you to handle your emotional experiences? Do you have good memories of that? Do you have any memories of that? It's something to think about. So, we begin with a quote, and a lot of the resources that I'm using I've picked up from AHA Parenting, and I really recommend that website if you are a parent. Use it, abuse it, sign up to the newsletter there. There are other great sites out there, and a lot of great individuals presenting material on parenting, on schooling, on growth and development, on unschooling. So check out all of those things. Check out all of those ideas. So one of the things we need to understand about anger is that it only really dissolves and disappears when it's understood. And if it's not understood, if there's not empathy in the process of anger, the anger remains. So if we want to clear anger from our lives, from our experiences, we and learn to deal with it, we need to be able to develop the skill of empathy within ourselves, and use it for dissolving not just the anger in others, but also our own anger at the same time. So and if you want to get into controlling your own emotional states, then I recommend our series on YouTube, which is just updated with 10 parts now. It's Conversations with Neil. We get into matrix elements and how to handle your own emotional development. So, when kids get angry, what happens a lot of the time is it pushes buttons within us. And none of us are perfect, and we all try to be loving parents, but it's hard not to get your buttons pushed, especially when you're so close to your kids. Many parents will react by sending a child to their room, or I've heard that some parents have this like naughty step that the kids have to stand on, which I can't agree with that, as it seems like punishing a person for having an emotional experience that they can't control isn't really going to help the person to deal with those emotions. So that's just my personal perspective. So it's true that it's really hard to reason with people when they're angry, and they definitely need to calm down. But I think isolating a person when their anger is probably an attempt to reach out and connect is not really going to help. So if you do something like send a child to their room, what's going to happen is that you're going to have a series of reactions that you're going to set off a series of reactions that you probably don't want to happen, because how the child is going to internalize this is that no one is going to help you to solve your own problems, and that's not good. It's also going to, and the child will also internalize that anger is bad, and that you are a bad person in essence for feeling angry and expressing it. And really, it's something that we all feel at certain points in time, and we all have trouble dealing with, and nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect. So it's often scary as well for young people when they can't control their own emotions. So it's not going to teach anyone. You're not going to give anyone any skills to manage anything when you yourself are not communicating with them. So you need to keep the door open. And it's also teaching, when you send into the room, you're also teaching that it's best to keep the feelings inside. And just from my experience, it's not. The best thing to do is not to bottle up the emotions inside. The best thing to do is to get them out in a way in which you can share with as many people as possible what is going on, and get as many perspectives as possible on different solutions to the problem. So it's no wonder that many of us take anger management issues into our adult lives, because we haven't been instructed on how to deal with them when we're young. And so what happens is that it's one of those cycles. It's one of those cycles that happens. It's one of those cycles. It's one of those circles. And nothing improves. Nothing gets better. Absolutely nothing gets better. So we really have to focus. We have to focus on not perpetuating the same mistakes that we had to live through in the past, not perpetuating this, not making the same errors, and helping. We need to focus on helping, on reaching out, on making the connections, so that we're teaching the child that it's okay to have emotions. It's okay to have feelings. We all have to deal with it in different ways, and we can hopefully teach strategies that will make differences. Strategies that will teach the child to develop a kind of emotional intelligence that they will give them a lifelong skill that not only can they use themselves, but they can share with others as well, which is kind of cool, because that's what living's about, right? So shall we have a look at different ways? Shall we have a look at different ways that we can solve these kinds of problems? I think that would be cool. My camera is just deciding to be all by itself. There you go. What can you do? So let's look at different strategies now for dealing with the situation when our kids get angry with us, or angry at the world around about them, or even angry with themselves sometimes. So the first thing is you don't want to move. You don't want to put yourself in a black and white state. You don't want to be in fight or flight syndrome. You don't want to. You want to respond but not react. You don't want to set off alarm bells and act like it's an emergency that somebody got angry. So you want to take a few deep breaths, take a step back when the situation happens, and I think it's okay to let the child express themselves. It's okay to say, tell me more. It's okay to say, can you share more with me about this experience? Can you tell me where this experience has come from? And we have to be careful as well, because children are very often mirroring things that their parents themselves do, that the parents themselves are not aware of. So listening is key. If you send a child to their room, it's telling the child you don't want to listen to them. So you need to focus on the element of listening. Acknowledge to your child that you understand that they're upset, and that you understand that very often people don't feel like they're being listened to when they're upset, and you can't really have a conversation when somebody is overflowing with emotions. So through communication, we need to try to encourage the other person to feel a little bit calmer, and explaining to them that they're understood, that you want to listen to them, is a way to hopefully calm them down. Now, you also need to try to see things from the child's perspective. Parents are often hurt when children yell at them, but it's not because the child actually is angry with them. Very often the child is angry with the world, the situations around them, very often angry with themselves. And so the child's not misbehaving when the child yells. The child is expressing how they feel. And it's not misbehaving to share the truth about your feelings, I think, with other people around about you. So try not to raise your voice. Try to find a space to sit down. Try not to have an aggressive posture. Try to be open, and try not to use words. Try to use your body language as well to express the fact that you understand that they're angry and you're not angry with them for being angry. Because if you're angry with them for being angry, then they'll be more angry with you, and it'll just blow up and blow up and blow up and blow up. So that's not cool. Setting limits. There's a question. Are limits a good idea to have emotionally? Can we stay within certain limits? Well, if the child is getting aggressive, I think that's stepping over the line, because when words fail, that's when we turn to violence. And so that's why communication is key. That's why open doors are key. That's why conversation, dialogue is key, because when dialogue fails, we turn to aggressive behaviors. And so there is a line, and I think it's worth saying to kids, hey, words are fine, but at the moment you hit someone, you give them basically the right to hit you back, and that's a dangerous road to go down. The child's brain is not mature, so we can't expect the child to understand the world the way that the adult understands the world. We can't expect the child to understand consequences. We can't expect the child to accept absolute responsibility for everything that's going on. I think we as parents have to do that. So the brain is not fully developed in the child, and it's important to understand that part of the confusion and the anger comes from the fact that the thoughts are often tangled and knotted up in the child's mind. They can't see clearly, and it's the adult's job to help the child see more clearly. It's the adult's job to be a mirror of truth for the experience that the child is having. the adult needs to be there. The adult needs to give time. The adult needs to be emotionally generous so that the child can learn the benefits of that as well. And anger is also not just an attack, it's also very often a defense as well. It's a defense against threats that the child feels within their environment. And we need to understand when the child feels threatened by something that's happening, or maybe by someone, or by some activity or action that's in the environment. We have to understand that they feel there's a threat there, and we have to let them know that we understand. Children can be triggered in the same way that adults can be triggered, right? And we've all been triggered at some point in time. We've all lost control, right? So that's I don't know how many ideas is that? How many key points is that? Is that 7? Is that 8 key points? I'm not sure. So time to take a quick break. Have a cup of coffee and think about what's going on around about. Why do these videos live? Well, the idea of doing the videos live is the fact that so much time gets spent in the editing process of videos that it's crazy, and people are always trying to make things perfect, and the world is not perfect. So the philosophy that I've adopted is do what you can where you are with what you've got. Don't worry too much if it doesn't turn out perfectly, but get the information out to people, and hopefully things can grow. We've got the technology, so if we don't use it, then it's going to be our loss. Use the tools that those greater than us have created to make our own lives great. I think that's key. So the last thing we talked about was that anger is very often because people feel threatened. So next step would be to encourage your child to move past the anger, to move beyond the anger, to put the anger behind them, to tell them that it's safe, it's fine to express the anger, but also to understand that anger's not going to last forever. You know, like the snow, it's going to melt. So while we accept the anger and we're feeling that in the moment, it's important to understand that over time the anger will subside, as it always does. Part of this is through understanding, part of this is through tears, part of this is through conversation, part of this is through sitting down, having a non-aggressive environment, perhaps refocusing the mind, preparing some food or a drink perhaps for the person. Young people often lose control because of odd external factors, things like diet, things like they're eating the wrong food, so the child drinks a sugary drink and they become hyperactive and they begin to lose control. Is that their fault? It's an interesting question. The rain has started to fall outside. Okay, so encourage the child to move past their anger, to understand that the anger will subside, it will disappear, and that it's okay to take steps. It's okay to take the next step to move beyond it. I talked earlier about if it's okay to discipline the child by sending them to their room, but I don't think that loneliness is going to help. I think that what's necessary is closeness, and that the child needs to understand that those who are close to them, those who love them, are willing to accept the good and the bad emotions that exist within them. Remember, as parents, the child's mirror our emotions, so punishing them is in effect punishing ourselves. I think that the physical presence of being close to the child is very important. You know, give a hug. Or if you feel that they're being too aggressive, you know, ask them if they'd like to have a hug, if that would make them feel better. Try to keep with them. You don't want them to, you know, if you don't want them to back into a corner, physically or psychologically. You want to keep all doors open. Now it's true that some children might get physical when they have a problem. Now, if it's your own child, it's different from other people's children. Other people's children might have learned already that being physical is the way to react in that kind of situation, which is, of course, is not cool, and you can't reverse that instantly. So, be aware, be careful. It's not that children want to hurt people by lashing out. It's the fact that hurt people. They're already hurt. That's why they're lashing out. That's their way of expressing and telling you that it hurts inside. That maybe also they're scared. Maybe they're guilty. Maybe they don't have any experiences in their life of compassion, and so model those positive emotions. Model those positive emotional experiences. It's probably wrong to evaluate as well in the moment whether or not a child is overreacting, because we all sort of lose contact with reality from time to time. So allow yourself to take a step back emotionally from the situation. Don't judge too quickly. Perhaps this anger's been boiling up for a long period of time. Perhaps this kind of meltdown is a welcome release of inner energy that the child is experiencing. Perhaps they just need to cry, as we all need to cry from time to time. So what do you think? How do you deal with anger? How do you deal with these kinds of problems? What would you do? What have you done in the past? What did you learn from your parents? After the child has calmed down, you know, it's try walk and talk as well. Try walking and talking. Try refocusing. If you say to your child, "Don't be angry," that's just focusing on the anger. You have to direct the child's attention to something different. Have you seen this? Look at this. Could you help me with this? Shall we take a walk? Deflect the emotional experiences. And then allow them to talk. Your job is to listen. Allow them to talk. Allow them to communicate. Allow them to explain why they got mad, why they cried. Listen to their story. They don't need to be lectured at this point. They need to be listened to. And if you can, teach them that it's okay to lose control sometimes, that we all do it. But once we understand that we've lost control, we need to take control back. We need to regain control. We need to focus on how it is that we're feeling, and very often we need help from other people to do this. We can't do it all ourselves. Life is a team sport, right? Life is a team sport. You can't get through it on your own. It's too hard, it's too much. So hopefully with these ideas you'll be able to work with your own children and maybe other children around about you to help them get through their problems, to verbalize their experiences without getting physical, losing control, without causing things to build up and, you know, explode at some later point in time. You know, small releases of energy at regular intervals will prevent you know, the volcano exploding at the end of the day. So help your child to grow, nurture their nurture them physically, mentally, emotionally, and hopefully as a result there'll be a lot less drama for you in your life and a lot more love. So there we go. This was my parenting view on dealing with anger and aggression from children. So it's definitely a difficult topic. It's definitely something people need to discuss more, and it's definitely something that we've all experienced at one time or another. So wherever you are, I wish you a great day. And if you want more information about what we do, we are the Academy of Language Therapy and Life Coaching. Link up to us on Facebook. Visit our website, nsa-slovakia.com. Take one of our free consultations to see how we can help you. Let us know what you'd like us to cover. If you've got any questions, we'll try to answer them. It's been a pleasure to present this piece of information. Wherever you are, have a great day, stay cool, and if you're having a long Easter weekend, enjoy that extra time with your family so you get a chance to relax before you hit the grind again. Take care, guys.